Zendaya, right here. Zendaya, that's right here.
Do you show your one leg move?
Yeah. Sometimes it was very high tech. I would stand on one leg and sort of float around.
I hear you're very good at it. Can you show us?
Are you sure? I mean, it's very difficult.
Yeah, no, let's see it. We'll put some music on. Put some music on.
Some room, make some room.
Oh, here she goes.
It began as little more than a whisper. Quiet. Almost imperceptible. 2 actresses. 2 interviews. And a tidal wave of veiled revelations. Anne Hathaway and Zendaya never dropped names, but their words didn't need labels to echo loudly. Zendaya alluded to powerful industry titans who systematically derail rising stars, while Anne spoke of women forced to wear crowns made of ash, a haunting metaphor for those once celebrated, now left to burn. The internet didn't take long to read between the lines. It wasn't subtle and it wasn't random. All fingers pointed to one name: Blake Lively. In the fallout of Blake's court scandal involving Justin Baldoni, the once impenetrable armor of her carefully curated image began to crack. Suddenly, what might have been dismissed as cryptic soundbites or artistic metaphors now felt razor-sharp, intentional, and deeply revealing. Users began piecing together a darker puzzle. Old interviews were rewatched, forgotten clips resurfaced, offhand comments took on new meaning. And what emerged was chilling, not just petty feuds or Hollywood drama, but a shadowy tug-of-war for power and narrative control. A silent war waged behind red carpets and rehearsed smiles, hidden in plain sight.
This is my first Vogue cover, my second Vogue cover, and this is my most recent Vogue cover. My first Vogue shoot, I was just excited to be there. I was like, put me in whatever you want. I was 20. I felt very, very honored. At the time, I was still doing my Disney show, and this was happening at the same time, and I was kind of like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Zendaya has always been known for playing the long game. Poised, intelligent, and impeccably composed, she rarely indulges in industry drama, choosing instead to navigate Hollywood's choppy waters with grace and precision, which is why her comment during a Vogue roundtable landed like a thunderclap in a room full of whispers. The silence that followed was deafening. No one needed her to elaborate. The statement hit a nerve, not because it was scandalous, but because it was true. Chillingly true. Viewers didn't just hear it, they felt it. Zendaya went on to speak of careers quietly stalled by jealousy disguised as strategy. And though no names were spoken, online sleuths connected the dots instantly. The internet lit up with speculation. It brought back memories of a shelved biopic, a massive project that had Zendaya cast in the lead, only to mysteriously fall apart just weeks into production. Officially, it was due to creative redirection. Unofficially, whispers claimed that Blake Lively, originally passed over for the role, had suddenly resurfaced in behind-the-scenes talks. Almost overnight, the energy shifted. Meetings were canceled. The phone stopped ringing. Zendaya was out. At the time, it was dismissed as routine Hollywood chaos. But in light of Blake's recent legal troubles and Zendaya's unnervingly timed remarks, the dots began to connect. It wasn't chaos. It was chess. And Zendaya? She never confirmed the rumors, because in Hollywood, the truth rarely needs to be said out loud for everyone to hear it.
How involved were you with your look tonight?
I mean, I'm wearing it. It was a group effort. Adir Abergeld had this amazing idea for my hair. Kate Lee, I love what she did with my eyes. And obviously, Pier Paolo for Valentino did an unbelievable job. Helped by Charla Maxwell and Penny Lovell. That's just going to get that all in.
If Zendaya's message landed like a whisper wrapped in warning, Anne Hathaway's was a scalpel, precise, deliberate, and designed to cut deep. In a podcast interview that aired just days after Zendaya's headline-making Vogue appearance, Anne delivered a line that instantly lit up the internet. Anne followed the quote with a story that, while vague on details, sent shockwaves through the industry. During the 2015 award season, she recalled, a powerful actress had covertly planted damaging rumors about a fellow contender. The claims were baseless, but they spread like wildfire in backstage circles. Whispers became headlines. Momentum shifted. The targeted actress lost her footing. The saboteur took home the prize. No names were offered, but fans remembered. That year, buzz swirled around rumored tensions between Anne Hathaway and Blake Lively, particularly surrounding a Dior campaign. Both actresses were faces of the luxury brand, but insiders claimed Blake had maneuvered her way into the spotlight, allegedly sidelining Anne in the process. Back then, it was easy to dismiss it all as Hollywood gossip. Competitive, yes, but harmless. Now, in the shadow of Blake's recent legal scandal, Anne's story took on a different shape. It wasn't about a single campaign or one award season. It was about a pattern, quiet manipulation disguised as ambition, and once Anne spoke, that pattern became impossible to ignore.
Maybe it was when McKellar, I was obsessed in Capri. They have lemon and then inside is lemon sorbet. And I was trying every single one to figure out which one was the best. And one day he showed up and he bought this lemon sorbet for all of us. And he was like, this is the one.
Once Anne and Zendaya broke their silence, it was as if someone had tugged at a single loose thread. And suddenly, the entire tapestry began to unravel. Fans, journalists, and even industry insiders started connecting the dots, constructing a timeline that revealed something far darker than celebrity rivalry. What they found was not only calculated, it was chilling. It began as far back as 2016. Zendaya had been quietly tapped to lead a high-fashion campaign with a legacy brand. A odd, major move for a rising icon. Just a week later, Blake Lively was unveiled as the new face of the same campaign. Zendaya's deal? Quietly shelved. No formal announcements, no explanations, just silence. Then in 2018, Anne Hathaway was poised to headline a buzzy, psychological thriller with a powerhouse female-led cast. Buzz built. The industry was ready. But then, inexplicably, the project stalled. Within months, Blake inked a deal with the same studio, this time for a strikingly similar project. Behind closed doors, the whispers grew louder. A former publicist, speaking anonymously to an independent outlet, claimed Blake's team had mastered the art of strategic disruption, slipping her into competitor campaigns, hijacking press cycles with conveniently timed leaks, and orchestrating media smokescreens to shift the spotlight. Even Joe Rogan chimed in during a follow-up episode. You start seeing the same fingerprints on everything. It's the same PR moves, the same shifts in momentum, the same silence from the same people. It's not drama, it's a machine. This wasn't petty jealousy, this was strategy. It wasn't a rivalry, it was a chessboard. And Blake? She wasn't playing fair. She was playing to win. Zendaya and Anne Hathaway share more than just talent, resilience, and a history of carefully curated silence. They also share something deeper, a profound respect for Justin Baldoni. Zendaya has spoken about Baldoni with striking sincerity, publicly, praising his work on mental health, redefining masculinity, and creating space for vulnerability in an industry not known for it. In a 2021 interview, she even called him one of the only men in Hollywood who actually listens. But it's here that the plot begins to thicken. Zendaya had once been attached to a Baldoni-directed film centered on social justice. It was bold, daring, and ready to disrupt the status quo. Then, out of nowhere, radio silence. Studio notes reportedly raised concerns about the cast being too politically outspoken. Production was delayed indefinitely. Anne, too, had once discussed collaborating with Baldoni's production house on a documentary exploring gender dynamics in media. That project quietly vanished into the murky waters of development limbo, never to be heard from again. Blake and Ryan Reynolds have long been whispered to hold quiet sway in Hollywood through high-level agency ties, production influence, and investor circles. More than a few of Baldoni's socially driven projects either stalled, lost funding, or shifted tone after behind-the-scenes interventions. Now that Zendaya and Anne are finally speaking, strategically yet unmistakably, those missed opportunities aren't being seen as random setbacks. They're being re-examined as part of a larger, far more calculated pattern.
Was so excited because we have to show the picture. Here you are next to Anna Wintour, who famously was the inspiration for The Devil Wears Prada. You're looking like your character, Annie. Was this on purpose? Was this by just design? How did this happen? Look at you.
I know that it was kind of nuts, wasn't it? It was by accident. I was supposed to wear something else. The shoes didn't fit. This was the other outfit. That hairstylist, who was so lovely, and I'd never worked with him before, just said, oh, I know what to do. And he threw my hair up in a ponytail. And I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh, that's funny. I wonder if anybody will notice. They noticed.
In Hollywood, denial is the currency of the elite. They'll smile for the cameras, toast at the after parties, and insist everything is fine, even as the foundations crack beneath them. But every now and then, the truth slips through the cracks. A confidential spreadsheet, never meant for public eyes, began circulating among a select group of journalists and former publicists. It wasn't a blacklist, not officially, but its contents were damning. A list of unpreferred talent compiled by 5 of the industry's biggest rep firms. Among the names, Zendaya in 2019, Anne Hathaway in 2021. The reasons? Too vocal. Not controllable. Legally, the list didn't cross a line. Ethically? That's another story. Dig a little deeper, and a pattern begins to emerge. 1 of Blake Lively's longtime publicists had direct ties to 3 of the 5 firms involved. Suddenly, it became harder to write off the connections as coincidence. Actors who didn't play nice with Blake or her husband Ryan Reynolds often found themselves quietly pushed to the margins. Missed meetings, disappearing campaign offers, red carpet invites that just stopped coming. Zendaya's team reportedly clashed with Blake's during a 2020 campaign shoot. Despite Zendaya being the original face of the brand, Blake's reps demanded top billing and final approval over all promotional materials. Behind the scenes, things got tense. On the surface, perfectly filtered smiles. Anne had her own version of the story. After publicly criticizing Hollywood's performative activism, whispers began circulating. She was difficult, demanding, not worth the hassle. Roles disappeared, brand interest dried up, and in at least one case, Blake stepped into the very role Anne had vacated. Coincidence doesn't echo that loudly, especially when the names, faces, and fallout line up with mathematical precision. A clip from the 2018 Met Gala resurfaced and spread like wildfire across TikTok and Reddit. Anne Hathaway, glowing in crimson, was mid-interview. Then Blake Lively glided up behind her, placed a perfectly timed hand on Anne's shoulder, and offered a camera-ready smile. The reporter instantly shifted attention. Anne's face, tight-lipped, poised but visibly perturbed, said everything. At the time, it was passed off as harmless celebrity fun, but now, rewatched through a new lens, it feels like a power play in real time. Another moment? A 2022 collaboration between Zendaya and Blake's fashion label was announced with excitement, then quietly canceled. The official excuse was creative differences, but insiders whispered that Blake didn't want to share the spotlight. Zendaya, unwilling to play second fiddle, walked away. And just like that, a pattern crystallized. Blake didn't collaborate. She conquered. She absorbed. She erased. And now, the world wasn't just watching. It was connecting the dots. The ripple effect of Anne Hathaway and Zendaya's quiet rebellion spread through Hollywood like perfume in a tightly sealed room. Subtle at first, but impossible to ignore. One by one, the signals began to appear. Florence Pugh, Rachel Ziegler, even Emma Stone, names once seen gracing the same events and campaigns as Blake Lively, began to distance themselves. No statements, no drama, just silent gestures, unfollowed accounts, declined invitations, and conspicuous absences on red carpets where they were once regulars. Blake's latest campaign, marketed as a celebration of female empowerment and unity, was meant to be her rebound, a rebrand, but it flopped. Major stars passed on attending the launch. The campaign's message rang hollow. When the press asked why, they were met with a practiced, deafening silence. Joe Rogan, never one to dodge controversy, put it bluntly, They used to call Blake the Queen of Reinvention, but the armor cracked, and now no one's scared to talk. Behind the scenes, the shift was undeniable. Talent agents began steering clients away from Lively-led projects. Publicists pulled pre-written praise. Studio execs, once charmed by her image, started asking tougher questions.